It's a good question. Actually, we probably should do this. Do you want to turn the camera so we're both in it?
Hell no.
Okay, because we could do it. No, we could start off this interview or this video, I guess, week 5 video, by just saying, hey, we're trying something new. Rhayne is interviewing me. She's going to be asking the questions versus me just asking myself questions and answering them on camera. You're going to ask me the questions. So Rhayne, welcome Rhayne to the channel. And Rhayne herself was a runner way back in the day. Rhayne ran, you did cross country, and did you do track?
I did track, yeah.
You did track and cross country, not only for a local running youth club that I coached, Temecula Time Machine, but you also ran for Chaparral High School,
Yes.
which is right behind me, right behind us. So you've got some familiarity with running and how it sucks, right?
Oh, bad.
You know how running sucks.
Yeah.
So nevertheless, yeah, let's do this, Rhayne. Fire away. Go.
So you're starting work at the office next week. What's going to be the plan?
What the plan is I gotta drive 35 miles to work and 35 miles back to come to home. It's a 70-mile round trip, which is going to be about 2 hours of my day now will be driving, which is 2 hours of my day that I prior used to do other things with. It's going to change things up for sure. It's going to change up when I run. It's going to change up where I run, how I train for this marathon. But I have to just be steadfast, have to be focused. So we'll see. Next week's video will actually be the first one where it's like, okay, you had to go to drive way up north, and you know how that impact your training, and we'll see. So yes, I will be doing, like, you know, my easy 3, 4, 5 milers in the middle of the day. They're up there for sure. That's cool. All right, we'll cut this section out.
Yeah. What is your motivation?
Ooh. What is my motivation? My motivation to do what?
Run.
Well, my motivation to run, yeah, you have to find that motivation sometimes, and the motivation comes from different places. Where do I find that? I find that motivation from other runners. I find that motivation from really the community of runners, my friends who run, the group that I run with, the Stay Fit Temecula group. There's a great group of runners there that keep me motivated, that inspire me, that we share this passion with each other and with some of my friends. So I think the motivation to run really comes from the other runners that I surround myself with, as well as I'm motivated to just try and become a better runner, to be stronger, to run further, to run faster. I don't know, is motivation different from why I run? Because why I run, I can answer that differently than I can answer
running.
Some really amazing people out there that are doing some pretty crazy things, way beyond my capabilities. But what motivates me is just to keep challenging myself and see how far I can push myself. And what's motivating me to run San Diego this year too is just I've got a streak of San Diego marathons. I've done 14 total, I think now. 11 consecutive. I think that's where the numbers are. I can double check that. But so I'm always motivated to run and train for San Diego and be as prepared as possible for the start line, so I can put my best self out there in that course. I love San Diego. I love the course. I love everything about the San Diego Marathon. Good question. I was challenged by that one, actually.
You were challenged?
It seems simple, right?
Yeah. Well, because it always change. I mean,
Yeah,
depending on the
every
situation you're in.
day, because there are plenty of days and I'm not motivated at all. I'm not motivated to do anything. I don't want to go run. I'm either burnout or I'm just like sore or tired. But where do you find that motivation? I guess it's just there's always this, you know, I have this goal, right, which is to be ready for the San Diego Marathon. I can't, the marathon, if you don't train properly for it, will punish you. So you can't fake training. You can't fake a marathon. Like, you have to train for a marathon. You have to be ready for it. Now, it doesn't mean on race day everything's going to go great, you know, but at least you've trained and you're ready for it. There could be, who knows, there could be all kinds of circumstances race day. You could be sick. It just could not be your day and you just have a bad race. I've had a few bad races, even though I trained really well for it, and I stayed motivated. I was motivated to give my best on that day, and most of the time I feel good about it and I executed well. But I've had a few races where, despite all the training and mileage and days where I had to find motivation just to get out there and keep training, I still had a bad day. New York City Marathon is one of those where maybe I'll throw a photo up on the screen, but of me just crossing the finish line, just completely, totally destroyed and really depressed about that day's race and how I executed on it, how I just hit a wall at mile 20, 21 and just walked into a 3:33, I think is what my finish time was for that. But, you know, I'm motivated by those days too, and those bad races to try it again the next race and to just continue.
What was your favorite race and why?
Wow, my favorite race would have to be my favorite race and why. So many races. I've done 23 marathons and probably the same number of half marathons and a bunch of 5Ks and 15Ks and 20Ks and triathlons. And so I would say the La Jolla half marathon, I think it was 2014, may have been 2016. I ran a 1:24, which is my fastest half marathon time. And the reason why it was, you know, my favorite race, because first of all, it's the La Jolla half marathon. It's a gorgeous course. Starts in Del Mar at the racetrack, and where I grew up. It's a fun place to run, and it's along the coast, and it's a moderately sized race. There's some good runners in it for sure, but it's not too big. But there definitely are some fast runners in there to keep you inspired and keep you on a good pace. Nevertheless, I ended up running a 1:24. And what that did for me is it qualified me for the New York City Marathon, which I just talked about being one of my worst races. So at the time, yeah, it qualified me for for the New York City Marathon. It also was my fastest half marathon, and I ended up getting, I think I got first in my age group that year with that too. So I've had a few second place age group finishes, but that was a first place age group finish as well. So it was kind of a trifecta for me that year. Not only that, also a reason why, it was two things that happened during that race which made it a memorable race. One was on the boardwalk. This is around mile 11, and you're running along the boardwalk along La Jolla Shores where the pier is. And you know, I'm running a 6:20 pace or something at that point in time, you know, kind of booking it for me. I'm not a terribly fast runner, but I was kind of flying at that point. And there was the aid station where the girls were giving out water, and I really needed some water at that point in time. I got 2 more miles, and those last 2 miles were rough because there's a major hill in front of you, and I needed something in me. And I ended up like reaching out to grab the water from the girl, and I think she dropped the water before I could grab it, and so the water dropped, and I was like, oh no. But I kept running, and I kind of zoned. I said, okay, I guess I'm not drinking water right now. Guess I'm going to be waterless until the finish, which was fine, you know, but I'd rather have had water. But nevertheless, the point is, the girl, the volunteer, she came up running behind me, and with water in her hand, like running as fast as I was running with water in her hand, and she actually gave me water. She ran down the boardwalk to get me that water. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. One of those memorable experiences with the course support and those that volunteered. It was really cool. I definitely gave her like a big old thank you for that. I thought that was really cool. And then the last thing is the finish line finishes at La Jolla Cove, where the park is there, the grassy area. And they have the best possible beer garden. The La Jolla Half Marathon has the best beer garden. And because I ran a 1:24, which is, you know, pretty far up in the pack, I was one of only 10 people in the entire beer garden at that point. And the rest of the people were from the 5Kers. So I had all the beer to myself. And it wasn't like you have tickets where they give you 2 tickets and you get 2 beers. No, there's this crew of like old guys, and they just put the beers out on a table, and there was just dozens of beers. I was like, oh, I was in heaven.
What is your ideal scenario for running? Like, what kind of temperature do you like? What's your favorite scene?
Ideal scene and temperature, just conditions for a race or a run?
For a race.
For a race. Well, from a temperature perspective, I like I like it when it's warm. I don't like cold. I'm not a cold weather runner. So another reason why the San Diego Marathon is, well, it's my hometown marathon, but it's also my favorite because the weather always seems to be great. Usually the weather starts off in like maybe the 50s, and a couple years has gotten up into the 70s, and that's a little warm for a marathon. So I guess ideal temperatures would be a starting temperature like upper 40s, low 50s, finishing maybe in the low 60s. You're not always going to get that. And I know a lot of other runners will tell you they'll want it to start in the 40s and probably stay in the low 50s. Because I know there's science behind it, right? The cooler it is, the better you're going to run. You're sweating less, you know, maybe require less fluid, I don't know. But I prefer it to be warmer. No wind. Wind is the worst. So I do not like to run in the wind. I don't mind running in rain. I don't mind running in snow. I don't mind running in the heat or even the cold.
The weather has been crazy. How do you
Yes.
plan on adapting to that for past weeks and the week going ahead?
Yeah, adapting towards the weather. Really, the only adaptation is just what gear I'm going to be wearing. You may know this, but I'm all about running when it is raining. I'm a kind of a weather nerd, so I'm constantly watching the weather reports and looking at the models, just trying to figure out, like, for example, like I mentioned, the past 4 of the past 5 Tuesdays, it's just been pouring rain, and it's, you know, and I have my Stay Fit Temecula group run on Tuesdays, and it's been canceled now many Tuesdays in a row because it's been raining. But that doesn't keep me from going running. I still go run. I love running in the rain, and I deliberately run when it's the craziest it possibly can be. So how do I adapt? I don't avoid it. I go straight into it. So that was last week again, which is really interesting. We have another storm coming in this Tuesday again, another wet one, another one that's tapping into the atmospheric river, which is also known as the Pineapple Express, which is just a low pressure system moving in from the north that also kind of taps into moisture from the subtropics. Means not necessarily heavy rain, but a lot of rain over like a maybe a 36-hour period. And we've had a ton of rain this winter here, and we're gonna get more of it. And so, which is great. California needs it because water is life, and we've been in a drought forever in California. And I actually think, like in some areas of California, we have completely gone out of the drought, which is amazing. And it's just so beautiful. Look at what the rain does around here. It makes everything green. So looking forward to next week's storm. It's supposed to be, the long range forecasts do call for unstable conditions for the rest of this month, which is good. So yeah, we're experiencing really beautiful spring-like day today, but another system's coming in tomorrow night. And so we're just gonna have like this unsettled weather pattern probably for the next couple of weeks, 10 days for sure, hopefully next couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm all about weather and running in the weather because we just don't get it very often, any radical weather around here. So when there is, crazy weather, my crazy self gets out there and gets in it. Cool?
Yep.
We done with week 5?
Done.
Thank you, Rhayne, for the interview. We'll see how the editing goes in this one. And I don't even know, right? It turned off for a while. I don't know if it got too hot or what,
I
but
think so.
probably the heat got to my GoPro and just turned it off. So
Well,
we'll
at
see.
least now we know about temperature.
We know about the temperature. We know maybe doing this out in the middle of the day, out in the sun, may not be the best. I don't even know how the audio is going to turn out on this one. Your skills at interviewing are only going to get better. My skills at answering them is only going to get better, more articulate. So this is probably pretty torturous for those watching this right now. But this is good. It's good to talk about your training and your running. The whole purpose of this is really just to walk through the past week's runs and workouts, just to learn something from them and apply that to next week, so that you just become a better runner. Yeah. Thanks again. See you next week. Cheers.